1300 casts, week 3, day 27. We awoke to the sun beating down on us through the cave hole as I woke up first. I immediately missed the pillowing warmth of Scarlet, but I had the cub sleeping next to Michelle, who was snoring. I went outside. It's June right now. Nice summer weather, but there are damn mosquitoes. I collected reeds to make a better bed. My way, there are specific ways to making reeds a good building material. First, chop the tall reeds with a knife, but I use a handsaw made from bear bone, and cut at least 6 inches from the roots. Then, once you have taken a big amount, take it all and set it on the ground. Best to do it in the fall before it snows. Let winter go by, then in spring, take them and de-leaf them. De-leafing, in my way, is to peel the leaves off them, or just chop the heads off. Once you de-leaf them, use a handsaw to chop the reeds to be at least 4 to 5 feet long, and dispose of the extra. And there you have it, nicely cut reeds, good for building. You can cut them longer or shorter, but the thick reeds are the best, not the thin, flimsy ones. Once I collected them, I set them next to the other ones I had left for winter. I picked up the old ones and cut them to size. I heard the female half-human trying to help. I looked to my right, and there she was, in all her glory. She looked at me, then looked back at the reeds. She tried her very hardest to cut them, so I showed her how to do it properly. She watched, then tried it herself, and she did great. Once me and her cut them, she sprinted back into the cave. Maybe she didn't like the image of me holding a bear saw. Makes sense. I put the bear saw away and stored the cut reeds next to the cave entrance. Then I stretched and made sure the camp was still clean. I will give you a description of the female half-human. She has midnight purple hair with highlights of purplish purple and deep purple. Her eyes are mainly dark purple, with highlights of purplish purple and pastel purple. Her scales are the colors of Veronica purple, a fair purple, and violet. Her wings are mainly white with some gray. Her tail is mainly black, with the underbelly to be studio purple, amethyst purple, and purpurous purple. There is a brief description of the female half-human. She is beautiful. Oh, I almost forgot, she has a yellow beak too. It may be too late for this, but I'll give you a description of Scarlet, the black panther who gave me her cub. She had eyes that were mainly the color of butterscotch yellow with highlights of honey yellow and fire yellow. Her coat was mainly the colors of jet black with highlights of spider black, metal black, and charcoal black. That's kind of it, to be honest. Man, I miss Scarlet. She was warm, fluffy, and like a warm, breathing body pillow. Michelle woke up and crawled out with the cub in his arms. The cub was chirping and nipping at his overall buttons. He handed me the cub and I held her and thought of a name. Suddenly, the cub leaped from my arms and chased a butterfly, and I picked him up before he escaped the camp. Man, you are a playful one, aren't you? I cooed, looking into the cub's eyes. The cub pawed at my chest, and I chuckled. Michelle looked at the reeds I chopped to size. Nice job. I'll put these with the others, Michelle said, picking up the large pile and taking it to a place where we store the reeds. You will need to get more reeds for next season, called out Michelle, and I nodded, stroking the cub's head as the cub calmed down and fell asleep. The female half-human came out and looked at the cub, tilting her head as she walked in a crouching position towards me. I got down in a crouching pose too, and showed the sleeping cub to her. She came up to me and nudged the cub, using a clawed hand to stroke its furry head. I chuckled, and she chuckled too. I looked at her and smiled. Looks like she's starting to warm up to us, even a tiny bit. I can relate to how she is skittish. She was kidnapped by hunters. She must be traumatized by now. That's what it's like for us half-humans. We get attacked by hunters so much. How can we not be traumatized 1,000 times? I set the cub on a bed of moss. The same bed of moss I set the female half-human when I first brought her here. The sunlight shined on the cub, and I stroked its fur, earning a sleepy chirp from the cub. Michelle came back with firewood. Here, I brought some firewood I found lying around. It's a little damp, but it should be dry by tonight. I nodded as he set the pile of wood out in the middle of the clearing. But I heard screeching nearby, Michelle warned, and my smile faded. Screeching? I asked, walking to stand in front of Michelle, who nodded. Yes, it sounded like a Myrique veil, he said, as I looked past into the woods. Was it constant screeching, or screeching that was low and faded out? I asked. Low and faded out, Michelle responded, looking at me with a questioning look. Ah, so what you heard was a Myrique snap-tooth, I said. A Myrique snap-tooth? Michelle asked. A Myrique veil is an infected version of a Myrique snap-tooth. There is a plant that if eaten, it can infer the mind of a creature and turn it into a zombie-like creature. And it gets the last name veil at the end of its name. The Myrique snap-tooth is the regular version, while the Myrique veil is the infected version, Michelle finished, seeming to now understand. I nodded, grateful that he was now understanding the complicated things. Evening began to come, and I put the firewood in the fire pit. Michelle helped light it with a flint and steel as I sat the female half-human in front of the fire, as Michelle lit it up. The fire lit up as the fire grew higher, and I added birch bark to it, making it bigger and hotter so the female half-human could warm up. But when I put the birch bark in the fire, my arm got stuck between two logs, and I managed to get it out. But the scales were completely fine. No burn, no crack, not even a mark. What? Michelle looked at me and sighed. I can at least tell you this. Those scales give you fire resistance, but only for 10 seconds, he said. And I nodded. 10 seconds of fire resistance? These scales are cool. The cub walked over, and I sat down in front of the fire and crawled into my lap, falling asleep as I laid back against a stone, looking up at the cloudy sky. Good night, I said. Then I felt myself drift off as the fire crackled and sparkled.